Day number 16 of the Daily Journal video series. Everyone, welcome back to the Daily Journal video series. My name is Hervin. This is a public video journal where I am documenting business lessons as we're growing our business, life lessons that I read from any books, share anything that I find cool. The goal here is to document the journey. I am personally obsessed with personal growth, business growth, and I've learned and I'm learning every day so much, and I want to make sure that I am documenting this lesson, if for no other reason than I think it's a cool practice to reflect every day on something that was learned, on a lesson, and so on. And so I just want to share this, put it out there in the world. I also think it's super powerful, the power of YouTube, which is just the power of building a personal brand, the power of connecting with an audience, the power of creating videos. I also am using this selfishly as a way to improve my public speaking, to improve the way I present in front of a camera. And so anyway, all of these positive things that I think are awesome. And on top of that is helping me. This is a long-term vision, a long-term goal for this channel. I said in a couple of videos ago that I would love to have 4 million subscribers in 2027. And so it's just a fun goal to set, a big fun goal, because I think having big goals, having big visions is something that is really cool to strive for. It helps you have something to look forward to, and we'll chat more about this today. I have something to say about big goals, big outcomes, and allowing yourself to dream that way, and something that I haven't been able to do up until recently is doing that, setting big goals and allowing myself to have big visions, and not believing in myself. But I'll chat more about that. I want to give first a less dense update, starting with the group interview. So today is Sunday 13th. We had at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time, we had a group interview with 10 people who showed up. And today was a little bit of a fun interview. The people inside of it, it's crazy how many people, every 10 people or so that we interview, there's some that come in that that have a problem with their microphone, with their camera. They come in unprepared. They show up late, which is crazy. It's happened already in the past 4 interviews that we've done. And it makes me think like, wow, people don't take things seriously, or they just lack the attention to detail, or what. Today in the interviews, there were, so on a non-professional note, there were people who showed up to the interview. There were some people who were smoking in the interview. There were some people who were just talking about video games, talking about things that didn't have anything to do with the business or with how much value they could provide to the company and so on. And I think overall, people don't put themselves in the shoes of the person hiring and thinking, what do they want and what are they looking for, because they either talk too much about themselves or they don't have it in their mind thinking, it's like, okay, what do these people want and how can I provide value to them, and trying to get that to come across. Instead, it's like, I don't know, they asked random questions. They asked us about our personal lives, for example, and it's like, okay, why are you asking questions about our personal lives when it should be about the value that you can provide if you want to get hired? So anyway, it's weird, but I feel like sometimes it's, for anybody who's doing job interviews, the most basic thing to do that might not be so obvious is to put yourself in the shoes of the company and think, what are they looking for? What do they want? And you have a job posting that you should have read when you apply for the job. And so just reading that and saying like, okay, here are the things that they want, and trying to talk about how you as an individual can fulfill on those needs that the company is looking for. Being able to say that seems like a common sense thing to do, but not many people do it. So anyway, hiring tip right there for anybody looking for a job is just think about what the company wants and then just tell them why you would fit those things. It's so simple, but not many people do it. Not many people are like, okay, you guys are looking for somebody who's got experience with clients, who can be tech savvy, who's gonna solve ticket issues with tech issues for your clients. And they can say, well, based on my previous experience, I've worked with clients. I can help you solve your tickets. I've been really fast at solving tickets. I know how to use the technology. Or, I didn't use the ticketing system that you guys are using specifically, but I've used this other ticketing systems. Like, just relating to what we're looking for, barely anybody does that. And so anyway, just an update there. Another thing that I realized as I was going through this group interview is the fact that life, this is a thought that I had in the middle of the group interview we were doing. Life is one big rock, paper, scissors game. And what I mean by that, it's when I was younger, I used to look at myself as a kind of like a video game character. I used to play a lot of video games growing up, and I used to love these games in which you can say, for example, you were anyway, just this character, and you can level up their skills, right? So say, for example, you can be a character that was a wizard, and you can level up their magic skills, for example. And so, or I was playing this boxing game, and you can improve the boxer, your character's strength, their speed, their power. And I always thought to myself, I'm like, man, and the goal in my life is to max out my statistics on every single thing, right? So it's just, I want to be really somebody who's very creative, but also somebody who's very detail oriented, but also somebody who's very good with people, but also somebody who's very good with technology, and also somebody who's very good at like, it's just anything that I would do, I would always think like, how can I be the best in everything? And then in my head, the quote unquote perfect person I was trying to be, my ideal is like somebody who's good at everything. And I'm realizing that's not how life works. Life is one big like rock, paper, scissors, rock game. And what do I mean by that is that you have certain strengths, and then those strengths come at the expense of certain weaknesses, and it's okay. It's okay that you have certain strengths and then certain weaknesses. So for example, you might think flexibility, being able to be flexible and being able to be able to adjust. If you get one type of work, you could do it, but then if you get another type of work, you could do that, and then you're able to be flexible or something like that. Or if you're negotiating with people, you could be flexible and be accommodating so you can fit both needs. And that's definitely a strength in certain scenarios, but then there's other scenarios in life in which being inflexible might be a strength, in which standing your ground, having clear-cut boundaries, might be a strength, And so the same thing goes for being creative. For example, being creative is a huge strength in a certain specific scenario. If you have a creative job, fantastic. If you're an entrepreneur and you need, and you're at the beginning of your company, at the beginning of your journey with your company, where you have to be very creative, that's awesome. But later on in your career, as your company develops, you can't be always being creative. You also got to develop like rigid structures, and you got to put managers in place, and you got to stop being creative and just do more of what's working. Or if you're an employee, being creative is awesome when you can provide new ideas and the company wants those ideas. But then when you're required to do like very repetitive work, and when there are already processes that have already been figured out and they already work, you don't need somebody who's coming in who's creative and changing things up. You need somebody who's going to follow the process as is. And so it's just like realizing that life is just one big game of trade-offs of, it's not like what I thought when I was younger. It's like, I'm going to be the best at everything. I'm going to be very detail-oriented, very creative, very, overall a well-spoken person who's also really good at keeping loving Excel sheets and like keeping track of the money and all this stuff, and being good at finances, and also being good there are certain skills. So the fact that, you have somebody who might be a little bit more introverted, but loves to code, for example, that's a superpower in the right place. It might be not a superpower if they're applying for a customer success role, a client success role, where they're gonna have to be talking to the clients and be friendly and be charming. That might not, that person who's introverted and like just good at programming and good at tech, that might not be the job for them. That might not be. So just realizing that there is a, not just realizing as if like this were a new idea. This is something that I've been thinking about for years, but it's always more and more clear how, you just gotta find the game that you just gotta find the game that suits your skill sets. And the reason why I've been thinking about that is because, for example, we've applied, a certain few people have applied for our companies where just based on talking to them, they seem really friendly. They seem like really outgoing. Yes, they love tech, and they apply for a tech support position, the tech support engineer position, in which most of the job is like talking to clients through emails and answering tickets. And yes, they might be facing clients from time to time, but mostly it's just like in the computer talking to clients through email or something like this, as opposed to a client success manager in which you're going to have to be talking to clients every single day. You have talking to somebody, they might not see it for themselves that their skill set is best used for other types of jobs. And so yeah, just realizing that more and more, and being in a position where you get to hire puts you in a unique place where you can like start to try and identify based on how people are, where they would fit best inside our company. And so just trying to create patterns in my brain as to like, okay, this type of person said they love these kind of things. So that way, when we bring them on board and put them into the job, into their roles, they're going to find their roles fulfilling. They're going to love it and they're going to excel at it. Okay. Because you could have somebody who's great and you put them in the wrong position where their strengths are not matched to their role, and you're setting that person up for failure. And so, just been thinking a lot about that, which brings me to the next point. So yesterday we interviewed somebody who we could tell was an amazing person, super smart. Seemed like, initially my gut reaction was like, man, this would be fantastic to have a person like this in our team. They seem like very creative in terms of technology. They seem very innovative, but at the same time, they seem like a systems thinker that was able to take processes, make them simpler. And so based on where we're at right now in our company, we want to be innovative. And so we want that kind of energy. But the other thing too is like, I said to myself, so that's one thing. Before I keep going, we found somebody who we thought, I'm like, man, this person has these talents when it comes to building that resembles how I think about things in terms of systems. And I'm like, wow, it would be cool to have somebody like that who can think like that. So, so that was great, being able to find that. And the fact that we interviewed somebody who had those skill sets, that was awesome. And so initially I'm like, yeah, let's hire this person. But then today I woke up and I'm like, man, I don't know. My intuition tells me that perhaps this person might not be, as it stands, it might not be the right fit. And so one of the things that we're looking for, the dichotomy that we have, is that in our company, we need innovation, but where we're at right now, one of the biggest problems that we're trying to solve for is our support. So we're trying to just get a handle on support. And so the problem is that right now clients are asking a ton of questions. And so we need somebody who truly understands all of the facets of our business so they can answer questions. And then we also need we need people who can literally answer the tickets. But on top of that, we need somebody who can be a little bit of a higher role in which they're learning. They learn the system, and then they're also able to onboard new employees. So if we ever hire new tech support people, they can onboard them, they can train them, as opposed to us, the founders, training them. They could take responsibility for the whole support department. They could also figure out ways to improve the department. They could also figure out ways to the metrics around the department. They could also, on top of this, make sure that they're doing quality control. So they're reading what their employees are saying. If they're managing a support team, they're reading how the employees are answering their tickets. They're making sure that the responses are good and that they have. So essentially, somebody who can be kind of more of a support manager, so that they have a team underneath them that are answering, and then they're just kind of coaching them. And I thought about this for this person who we thought, like, this person is fantastic. They're great. They're very knowledgeable when it comes to systems, but do they have the people skills to be able to manage a team and to be able to give people feedback and to be able to do, like, are they going to be spending their time reading the support tickets of the support tech support engineers and giving them feedback and making sure they're answering correctly? And my initial reaction was like, I'm not sure. They feel like they're really smart, and that would be kind of like a waste of their talent, just based on my initial reaction. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we got to test them further but just based on what we need people who are answering the tickets, and then we need somebody that is checking those tickets to make sure they're being answered well. We need that person to also onboard new employees. We also need that person to improve our support processes if needed. And so, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, the reason why I'm bringing this up, it's because part of me just wants to say, let's just hire them. But then the other part of me is thinking in terms of first principles, is like, okay, let's not make let's not go after a shiny object just because it seems like cool, but let's just actually focus on what do we need as a company. And maybe they end up being the right fit for the role. Maybe they end up being the person that can do the things that I'm thinking about. Maybe they will even enjoy it, but just based on how the interview went and so on, it might not be the right fit for this. They might be more of a person who they're more in charge of building. And so anyway, perhaps that's what we need. And so that's something to consider. Just being able to say to myself, like, wait, let's pause for a second. Let's not make a decision, like a rash decision here, and hire somebody that just because we like them, or not just because we like them, but just because we think they're smart and they have the capability of being innovative, that we need them, or that they would be a good fit right this second for our company. Because maybe they would be a good fit later down the line, maybe even right now, but just sitting down to think about, okay, what is it that we need? And then, thinking from first principles, what is it that we need, so that we can then decide who's a good fit or not, instead of just hiring somebody just because they seem like smart. Okay, so yeah, that is something I want to document. And then I want to come back to this idea of thinking big. So for the longest time, and this is something that I've been realizing more and more now as we further our journey here into our company. So initially in our company, it was just Juan and I looking to grow this company. And at the beginning, neither of us has had any hiring experience, managing a team, hiring employees. And so in my head, I'm like, I don't know if I ever want to grow to the side. Like, here's what I was thinking. I didn't allow myself to dream big and say to myself, yes, I want a huge company, or I want to make a huge impact and have a company that can allow us to make that kind of impact. In my head, I'm like, I just want a kind of a small company, because I don't know if personally I would want to have a huge team of employees beneath me. And so I don't know if I want to manage that many people. And just recently, it's dawned on me why I was thinking that way. Why I was thinking, like, why don't I want a big company? Why don't I want to manage a huge team? Because right now, as we brought on employees, it's only gotten better. So the experience of running a business with employees has only gotten better as we added people. The work has become more meaningful. It's become awesome to collaborate with a team. Getting really smart people on board to bounce off ideas from them it's like a fun experience. Having them execute the work and seeing, and it's also leverage. So it's awesome when we can have a team that can execute the vision. We move a lot faster. On top of that, learning the lessons. Yes, it's not always great, but learning to manage people and steer them in a certain direction, give them feedback. That is also, it sometimes can feel painful, but it's a rewarding skill set to learn. It's also a fortunate position to be in when you can help people grow. Watching people grow is something really cool, like watching employees take on to more responsibilities, watching employees learn new skill sets and take pride in their work is really cool. And so in my head, I'm like, wow, this is how I feel about it now, like where I'm really enjoying having a team and leading the team and getting everybody on board and getting them to see the vision and helping them execute and helping them remove roadblocks and all these things. Like, to me, I'm like, why haven't I wanted to do this in the past? Or why did I feel like I couldn't do this in the past? And I realized it was my fear of, so a couple of things. Number one, do I even have it in me to be a leader? Do I have it in me to lead people? Are people going to want to work for me? I'm somebody who's weird, quirky. I'm somebody who's like, I don't see myself in the mirror and I'm like, that's like your typical vision of a leader. It's not like the vision of a like strong, tall, broad shoulders, jaw. I don't know. I mean, it just feels silly to say, but it's like being able to think of myself like, are people going to want to work for me? Are people going to want to follow me and follow the vision? Are people going to want to work inside our company where we're helping dance studios? It feels kind of silly, although it's not. And I'm not saying that it is silly or not. I think that what our clients are doing with their dance studios are super meaningful. I just didn't know if like a grown man wanted to help dance studios, for example, but in any case, I don't know. All of these like limiting beliefs is like, are people going to want to work for me? Do I have it in me to be a good leader? Are they going to want to work and help dance studios because it doesn't feel manly to do this? Is it, are people going to want to listen to me? Can I lead people? I am usually one that's not a person who's very confrontational. And so I just being put in a place where I have to give people feedback and tell them how they're doing and like doing that in a way makes me feel uncomfortable. And I'm like, man, if we get a large size team, then I'm going to have to tell people if they're not doing their jobs properly or how I see it, then I'm going to have to tell people that. And I don't want to be put in a position where I'm having to do that. So I'd rather have no employees and I'd rather shrink the size of my vision so that I don't have to put myself in a position where I'm having to give people feedback. So that's kind of like what I've been wanting to document here, is the fact that realizing that I shrink my vision, or I have shrunk in the past my vision. I'm starting now to dream bigger because I'm seeing myself, you know what? I am capable of doing these things. I am capable of being a leader. I am capable. People do want to work for us, and I may not have all the answers, but that's why we're hiring people, and I'm not afraid to not be the smartest people in the room. I'm not afraid to, and I'm learning to give people feedback, and going through this has allowed me to see like, wow, I certainly can achieve big dreams, and here's another thought: like, somebody is going to dream the big dreams. Why not be me? I mean, seriously, like, as simple as that might sound, like, this is a question that it's silly, but it's a question that I've asked myself many times growing up. It's just like, if there's ever a position to be the president of a country, somebody's gonna want to take that spot. And the people who are gonna even get a chance to take the spot are people who are gonna say to themselves, you know what, I am the right person for that spot, or I want to get that shot of applying for that spot. If you don't even try out, you're not going to get it. And so like, just showing up and just having the courage to say I can do that, or I can aim to do that, is something that I think, we limit ourselves, or at least I limit myself in the size of my vision, and just also being like, I'm like, well, who am I that to have like these big dreams? Like, who am I to go for president or something like that? And not necessarily, I don't want to be a president, but the point is like, who am I? And like asking ourselves that, as and like diminishing ourselves. And so, yeah, that's something here that I've been trying to conquer, and like learning more, like putting myself in a position more and more where I have to lead in the company, and I have to communicate to the team and show up for them. And it's allowed me to slowly step into this leadership role, and accepting that this is where I'm at, and I just, and I'm not good at it right away, and that's okay. Nobody's like born a fantastic, amazing leader, and it's a new skill set that I'm learning, and that I can learn. It's just giving me, yeah, it's just allowing me to broaden my ability to, allowing me to think bigger, for example, to dream bigger, to set bigger visions, bigger goals. And so, yeah, that's my update for today. Those are all things that I've been thinking about. Thank you all so much for listening. My name is Hervin. This is the Daily Journal video series. If you've enjoyed this, subscribe to the channel and follow along for the journey. I can't wait until we're gone. We're of course we have a ton of more interviews, but I can't wait until we're done and we start bringing people on board and start moving a lot faster. Again, thank you all so much for listening. I'll see you tomorrow.